Chapter 1. A Boy Named Hung. Hung was born in a small village, in a family that struggled to make ends meet. His father was a farmer, and his mother worked as a seamstress. Despite their hard work, they never had enough money to live comfortably. Hung always dreamt of a better life, and he knew that education was the key to changing his future. Chapter 2. The First Day of School. Hung's family couldn't afford to buy him new clothes or books for school. But his mother gave him an old school bag, and his father walked him to school, proud of his son. Hung was nervous on his first day, but was determined to learn. His classmates had new uniforms and fancy bags, but Hung didn't mind. He wanted to study hard and make his parents proud. Chapter 3. The Challenge of Poverty. At school, Hung realized that many of his classmates came from wealthier families. They had computers, private tutors, and extra lessons. Hung only had his determination. He studied by candlelight at home, often late at night when his parents had already gone to bed. Despite the challenges, he never complained. Chapter 4. The Encouragement of a Teacher. One day, Hung's teacher, Miss Lan, noticed his effort and dedication. She saw that he was always eager to learn, even though he didn't have the resources the other students had. Miss Lan encouraged Hung, telling him that with his hard work, he could achieve great things. Her words stayed with him and motivated him to work even harder. Chapter 5. The Struggle with Math. Hung struggled with math. The numbers seemed confusing, and he couldn't understand the lessons as easily as some of the other students. But he didn't give up. He asked his teacher for extra help and spent hours practicing problems on his own. Slowly but surely, he started to improve. Chapter 6. The Dream of University. As Hung moved into high school, he realized that his dream of attending university was within reach. However, the cost of tuition was very high, and his family could not afford it. Hung didn't let this discourage him. He studied even harder, determined to find a way to make his dream come true. Chapter 7. The First Scholarship. One day, Hung saw a poster for a scholarship program. It was for students who had great academic potential but came from low-income families. Hung decided to apply. He worked tirelessly on his application, writing essays, gathering recommendations, and preparing for the interview. When he received the news that he had won the scholarship, he couldn't believe it. It was a dream come true. Chapter 8. The New Beginning. With the scholarship, Hung was able to attend university. It was a huge change for him. He was away from home for the first time, living in a dorm and studying in a new city. The challenges were still there, but now he had the resources and opportunities to succeed. Hung was determined to make the most of this chance. Chapter 9. The Hard Work at University. University life was not easy. Hung had to balance his studies with part-time jobs to support himself. He worked as a waiter at a local restaurant and tutored other students in the evenings. But no matter how tired he was, Hung never stopped studying. He knew that this was his one shot at a better life. Chapter 10. The Support from Friends. At university, Hung made friends who understood his struggles. They were supportive and encouraged him when he felt discouraged. One of his friends, Mai, often helped him with his studies, explaining difficult concepts and sharing her notes. Hung was grateful for their friendship and knew that he wasn't alone in his journey. Chapter 11. the moment of success. After years of hard work, Hung graduated with honors. He stood on the stage, holding his diploma, and thought about how far he had come. From a poor village boy with no resources to a university graduate, Hung had achieved something incredible. His parents were so proud, and he knew that all the struggles had been worth it. Chapter 12, The First Job. After graduation, Hung found his first job at a well-known company. It wasn't easy, and the work was demanding, but Hung was excited. He had dreamed of this moment for so long. With his new job, he was able to support his family and help them live a better life. He promised to always work hard and never forget where he came from. Chapter 13, The Giving Back. As he became more successful, Hung never forgot the people who had helped him along the way. He started a scholarship program for children from poor families in his village, just like he once was. Hung wanted to give other kids the chance he had been given to break the cycle of poverty through education. Chapter 14, The Message of Hope. Hung's story became an inspiration to many. He often shared his journey with young students, telling them that no matter how difficult life may seem, education could change their future. He encouraged them to never give up on their dreams and to always keep pushing forward, no matter what obstacles they faced. Chapter 15, The Beautiful Ending. Years later, Hung became a successful entrepreneur, but he always remembered his roots. He bought a house for his parents, and together they visited his old school. Standing in front of the school, Hung smiled, knowing that his hard work and determination had made his dreams come true. His story was a reminder that with enough perseverance, anything was possible. Chapter 16, The Tough Decision. After his success in the corporate world, Hung faced a tough decision. His company offered him a promotion to a higher position with a significant salary increase. However, the new role would require him to relocate to a different city, far from his family and hometown. Hung struggled with the idea of leaving behind the people who had always supported him. Ultimately, he decided to stay close to his roots and continue his mission of helping his village, even if it meant passing up the promotion. Chapter 17, The New Challenge. Hung decided to start his own business in his hometown. He wanted to create job opportunities for the young people in his village and encourage them to stay and work locally instead of migrating to bigger cities. However, starting a business in a small village came with many challenges. There was little infrastructure, and the community was unfamiliar with modern business practices. But Hung was determined to succeed and used his education and experience to guide him. Chapter 18, The Power of Community. As Hung began to build his business, he realized that he couldn't do it alone. He needed the support of the community. He started organizing workshops to teach young people about entrepreneurship and how to start their own businesses. The local farmers, seamstresses, and artisans also joined in, sharing their knowledge and skills with the younger generation. The power of community was stronger than Hung had ever imagined, and it fueled his success. Chapter 19, The Family Support. Hung's parents were his biggest supporters throughout his journey. Even though they didn't fully understand the world of business, they always believed in his ability to make a difference. His mother, with her sewing skills, helped him design uniforms for his employees, and his father offered advice on how to manage finances. With their help, Hung's business began to thrive. He knew that his success was not just his own, it was a reflection of the support and love from his family. Chapter 20: The First Success Story. One of the young people who attended Hung's entrepreneurship workshops, a girl named Lan, started her own small business selling handmade crafts. She had always struggled with self-doubt, but after attending the workshops, she gained the confidence to follow her dreams. A few years later, Lan's business became very successful, and she returned to Hung to thank him for believing in her. Seeing the success of people like Lan made Hung realize that his efforts were truly making a difference. Chapter 21: The Connection with His Roots. As his business grew, Hung began to reconnect with his childhood dreams. He often went back to the small village where he grew up, visiting the old school, meeting his former teachers, and spending time with the people who had supported him. Every visit reminded him of how far he had come and the importance of staying grounded in his roots. He knew that no matter how successful he became, he would always carry the lessons of his humble beginnings with him. Chapter 22: The International Recognition. Hung's business became known beyond the borders of his village. He received invitations to speak at international conferences about entrepreneurship in rural areas. His story inspired many people around the world, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds. Through these speaking engagements, Hung was able to share his journey and encourage others to pursue their dreams, no matter the challenges they faced. Chapter 23: The Expansion of the Scholarship Program. With the success of his business and the recognition he received, Hung expanded his scholarship program. He now had the resources to support more students from low-income families in his region. The scholarship program grew rapidly, and many students who had once struggled just like him were able to pursue higher education. This gave Hung even more motivation to continue his work and support the next generation of leaders. Chapter 24: The Family's Pride. Hung's parents, who had once lived in a modest house, now enjoyed a comfortable life. Hung bought them a new house, one that reflected their hard work and sacrifices. On his parents' anniversary, Hung hosted a special dinner to honor them. It was a moment of pride for them, knowing that their son had fulfilled his dreams and gone beyond their expectations. They were proud of him, not just for his success, but for how he had never forgotten where he came from. Chapter 25: The Legacy of Hung. As years went by, Hung's business and scholarship program continued to thrive. He had built a legacy of hope, hard work, and community. He often reflected on his journey, remembering the challenges and struggles he had faced. Hung knew that his story was not just about him. It was about the people who had helped him along the way, the students he had inspired, and the community he had built. He hoped that his legacy would continue to inspire future generations to believe in themselves and strive for a better life. Chapter 26: The Next Generation. Hung's children grew up watching their father's dedication to education and community. They understood the importance of hard work, perseverance, and giving back. When they were old enough, they joined their father's business and helped expand the scholarship program. Hung's vision for a better world lived on in his children, and they too became leaders who inspired others to follow their dreams. Chapter 27: The Final Message. As Hung grew older, he decided to retire from his business and spend more time with his family. But before stepping down, he wrote a book about his journey, about the importance of education, community, and never giving up. He wanted to share his experiences with the world so that others could learn from his story. In the book's final pages, he left a message for young readers. No matter where you come from or how difficult your journey may seem, remember that with hard work, perseverance, and a belief in yourself, anything is possible. Chapter 28: The Beautiful Ending. Hung's story was passed down through generations. His children continued to lead the business and scholarship program, and his legacy lived on. The village that once saw only poverty and hardship now thrived with opportunities for young people. The education Hung received, the community he built, and the love from his family had transformed not only his life, but the lives of many others. Hung passed away peacefully, knowing that his story would continue to inspire for years to come.